Let's talk about Miami-Dade County. Of course, you probably remember Miami-Dade County because that's where the whole hanging Chad fiasco happened back in 2000. And as if they haven't had enough notoriety related to elections, well, now they are going to ban people from using the bathroom at election polling stations. They've actually been doing this since 2012, and they are going to make accommodations for handicapped people and people with medical emergencies. But people are literally waiting online. In 2012, people were waiting online for as long as 6 hours just to vote, and they will have no access to bathrooms. This is completely insane. Why can't people pee and vote?
So there's nothing more instrumental to democracy than voting, right? I mean, one person, one vote. And so you would think when there's this happening, it's happening all over the country, this is voter suppression. This is the opposite. This is the government working against its own citizens. So you would think every reporter in the country would be standing on top of their desk, screaming at the top of their lungs, metaphorically, but they're not. They're still reporting it as if it's a legitimate thing that the government can do. They're like, well, the Republicans say they're just trying to blah, 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 instead of saying, hey, this is bullshit, and we should all be screaming, and these guys should be prosecuted. This is wrong, and the federal government. No, it's not happening. Right. They're still reporting it both sides.
I mean, they've been doing this. It's not the first time.
Yeah.
So in Florida, in 2012, they cut early voting from 14 days to 8 days. They sent out these fake voter purge letters in Florida, where they said, "Hey, you've been purged from the voting roll, so don't bother showing up." They also had robocalls telling people, "Hey, now you can vote by phone. You don't have to come to the polling stations at all."
And they also told them the wrong day to vote.
Yes, that's in Maricopa County, Arizona, where there was a ballot on the English side. It had, come vote on the 6th of November. On the flip side, in Spanish, it says come vote on the 8th.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, sorry, it was an innocent mistake. It was an innocent mistake. So my bad. So this is happening. It's a very choreographed, comprehensive approach to attack our rights to vote. And they're doing it in two ways. So we're seeing one end of it, right? So the actual voting at the very end of the process. The other way that they're capturing it is by limiting our choice from the beginning. So you have a choice between Barack Obama and Mitt Romney, and we have fake choices about these other candidates who don't get any opportunity to win because of the lack of press coverage and all that. And because of money in politics, they can't win. Romney and Obama have $1 billion war chest each, and then the other guys have, a couple of pennies.
Right.
So they preemptively select the ones we can choose, and then limit our choice after that.
Yes.
So they're attacking democracy from both sides.
Like they won't even let Buddy Roemer into the debates.
That's right.
Right? So, there's a guy, legitimate guy, ex-governor, wouldn't let him. He's got people that want to vote for him. No, you're not even allowed.
Buddy Roemer refused to take more than $100 from any donor. And that was his downfall,
yes,
that he didn't sell out to the moneyed interest.
Yes.
And because of that, he was deemed as a kook and a crazy, and no, you can't come. And then they changed the rules on him several times. They said you had to have 1% support. He had that. They're like, it's 2%. Then he had that.
Yes.
They're like, nah, you can't come anyway.
You can't. You just can't come.
Well, also Fred Carter, who also ran as a Republican, he qualified for the Fox News debate, which the threshold was 1%, and then Fox just said to him, "No, you can't come." And he had qualified on 3, and he's in a lawsuit with them now. It's a year and a half later or whatever. So that stuff doesn't change. I should mention that, of course, the American with Disabilities Act requires entities to make reasonable accommodations for people with disabilities. So there's also some question whether this would be, if it was someone in a wheelchair versus someone that maybe has diabetes who needs to use the bathroom but doesn't necessarily have a card that says that they're handicapped, and all kinds of other stuff. So it's just an endless Pandora's box of confusing people and making the voting experience less pleasant. So hopefully they don't show up.
I mean, and if they do show up, who can stand there for 6 to 8 hours? Just even with the bathroom. Yeah. But they take away the bathroom, and now you have to stand there for 6 to 8 hours, and you're like, fuck this, then you go home. It impacts two kinds of people, minorities and young people. So, research by MIT showed that blacks and Hispanics waited almost twice as long as whites in the last election in order to vote.
Yeah, Jonathan Chait would tell you, just cut it out. Shut up already. It doesn't mean anything. There's no racism. It's all just you fucking whining, yappity, yappity, yap. And if you want a better proof that racism is all bullshit hyped up, ask a wealthy white privileged guy who writes for The New Yorker.
Right.
Right.
Okay.
What do you guys make of Miami-Dade County, though? I mean, this is the county that everybody was watching in 2000, that we saw all of that stuff. And it's like, why is this place deciding to put this law in? Haven't they had enough of the coverage of how messed up their
Miami-Dade County is the biggest county in Florida, and Florida is the most meaningful swing state. So there's Florida and Ohio and Florida are the places where most of the voter suppression efforts are driven, along with Wisconsin and Virginia. These are, I mean, it's not happening in California as much because, you know, it's a blue state, it's a done deal.
Can you imagine if Democrats were doing this, trying to suppress the vote of Republican voters? Do you imagine what would happen? They had to pretend. They were treated equally at the IRS, and they went fucking crazy.
Yeah.
They were treated equally as liberal groups at the IRS, and they're still screaming about it. And there was no scandal or.
Well, they're crying about voter fraud.
Fraud. There is
voter
none.
fraud. It happened like literally like 11 times in the last several elections. That, you know, like 100 million votes, like out of like 100 million votes, there's been like 10 instances of actual voter fraud.
Right.
And so
it's not a problem.
Isn't this so? Is this another case of Barack Obama and the Justice Department and Eric Holder not doing anything, not doing half of what they should do, or even what are they even doing? What do they do in a situation like this? They should be doing something.
I agree. The FEC should be doing something. It's egregious.
Yeah.
But, you know, there's a lot of state autonomy when it comes to how they do their elections. So
where's the Democratic Party in Florida? I mean, why should somebody have to wait 6 hours to vote in 2012 anyway? Why did the Democrat? They didn't foresee that bullshit happening, and they're not. You know, what's Alan Grayson doing in Florida? Like, they don't have an organization to make it easy for people to vote.